welcome back to the Jack Homestead. It is June 9th. I thought I would give you my first garden tour. I know we already did a little bit of a tour that, and I said really wasn't a tour. It was just us prepping the garden and getting the garden ready. But we do have some things now that have grown and that are growing, so I thought I would give you the first garden tour of 2023. Okay, in the back of the garden, which is the old part of the garden, this is our asparagus bed. As you can see, they are ridiculously big. We did get our first harvest of asparagus, and they were the best asparagus we've ever had, which most stuff that you grow in the garden is. So it is now, we're letting it go to seed. As you can see, I will show you the seeds of the asparagus. This is our asparagus bed. We have harvested some mushrooms also that we grow in the mulch. I'm looking to see if I see any to show you. If I come across any, I will show you, but usually in the damp part of the gardens, they usually grow. What is that? Oh, that's a rock. I got excited. I thought that was a big mushroom. Okay, so anyway, here is our garlic. We're super excited. We only have 3, 6, 7, 8 garlic that have survived, but it's better than what we've ever grown before. I have already harvested the garlic scapes. For you all that don't know what they are, here's one that I did not do yet. If you can see it curl. Let me move this, Lee. See this part right here that curls? That's a garlic scape. You cut them off, and within 3 weeks, the garlic will be ready to be harvested. That helps the bulb get bigger. So I harvested all the scapes, and I just made a garlic butter today with all the scapes. So I'll let you know how that turns out. We also have leeks that I planted from seed. These are the leeks. We have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 leeks. In here we have a random sunflower that popped up that is growing. And then we have 2 jalapeno peppers, one in this corner and one in the back there where we didn't have any garlic growing. And we just threw them in there because I had extras that I grew from seed. So that's that. Now, over here, this is kale. Now this kale bed for some reason is not doing as well as this kale bed. They are 2 different types of kale, so I'm assuming that's the issue, that this variety seems to want to be very leggy. So we probably won't get a whole lot here, but this is kale and this is kale. I will have to do some harvesting of these kale leaves. We always have an excellent kale harvest, but this is the first time I've put the kale in these beds this year. Usually my kale bed is right here. Now this is something new this year. Let me go back and show you. We have 2 beds that we have covered up. And these are for our brassicas that usually get decimated by caterpillars. Now, I'm going to lift these and I'm going to show you the most exciting thing under here. Ta-da! This is all my cabbage. I am extremely excited over this. Last year, we only got 1 cabbage. And this year, it looks like we're going to have a nice big cabbage harvest. So this definitely is working out. We've already discussed it, and we are going to get some more for some of our other beds. Next is Swiss chard in this little bed. Never grew Swiss chard before. What are you doing, Mr. Lightning Bug? Never grew Swiss chard before, so I don't know what it tastes like, but Mr. Jack says it's good. So I only planted a little bit, and we'll see how we like it, and we'll go from there. And then the second bed that is covered, which is super exciting. Before we covered it up, I will let you know, something got into this bed. So they destroyed several of the plants, but I replaced it immediately with some seed, and they are growing beautiful. This is my broccoli bed. So we're excited about that. I did excellent last year with broccoli, so hopefully we'll get a nice broccoli harvest again. But as you can see, the ones in the back are smaller. They're the ones that had been eaten before we got this cloth down, and this one in the front too had been eaten. But I replaced them, and they're all coming up very nicely. So we're gonna have hopefully a nice broccoli harvest again this year. Last year we were super excited because I made a nice broccoli soup at, I believe it was Thanksgiving time. I made broccoli soup with our fresh broccoli. Okay, in that little pot we have some random flowers. I think there's black-eyed Susans. Now I want to tell you all about my grapes. Very sad story. We had a very late freeze here in northern Pennsylvania, and in New York also. And a lot of the wineries were affected, which made me feel really bad for them. But it was heart-wrenching for us also. My trellis here was completely covered with grapevines. You could barely see it. And it had lots of grapes growing. Let me see if I can zoom in on some. They were covered, and we were very excited because this was our year. This was our year to get grapes. All of the other years, we just got a lot of green and no grapes. So this was going to be our year, and the freeze got it and killed the entire thing. But we did get some new buds that formed, and we're hoping to get some grapes this year. So we'll keep you posted on how that ends up being, but I'll talk to you a lot more through this tour of what got killed during the deep freeze. That was unexpected. It was supposed to be a frost, and we covered everything, but that was not the case. It was a freeze. Now, this bed here, another quick note. Mr. Jack and I ordered some triaxle truck loads of new dirt this year. Well, it was not good dirt. We are very, very unhappy and will not order from that company again. It was not mixed properly the way it should have been, and it is extremely hard dirt. So we didn't realize that, and we put it in, we planted in it, and now we're seeing the results. In this bed, this was all carrots. Well, because of the hard soil, I've only had a couple of carrots pop up in here, so it's very depressing. We are going to try to amend this bed and see what we can do, but I didn't want to kill all the carrots that I do have in there. But I have carrots in other places that I'll show you, but this is a sad bed. That was supposed to be carrots. Over here in the corner where I was going to do my celery, which I do have celery started, but they're still too small to bring out. All along this trellis here, I have pinto beans. I've never grown them yet. So that's exciting that we have some of them that have come up. Hopefully more will pop up. This bed here is my green bean bed. Now this was one that did get caught in the freeze and we lost the green beans, but I have since replanted green beans and I do see some that are coming up. So hopefully we will still be all right with our green beans because we usually do excellent with green beans every year. There are a couple that did survive, as you can see, and this here is borage. That is basically for the pollinators. So hopefully this bed will come back from the freeze. Over here is our strawberry bed. It's doing very well. We had one plant about 2 years ago. It's that main plant right there, the big one. And then last year, we bought a couple of more and they are starting to produce. We're hoping, there's this big one right there. There's some in there that are starting to turn red. We're hoping that we can get some strawberries this year. And we're hoping this whole bed will fill out because our goal is to have this bed and then this bed also as our strawberry patch. We do have a lot of critters that like strawberries, so it's really hard. We got to keep an eye on them to make sure that nothing will eat the strawberries. Not necessarily the birds, but like the chipmunks and the mice and bugs, and so we got to keep an eye on that. But we're going to take the runners, which, let me show you, like this here is a runner off of this plant. And then what we can do is cut that and then we can plant it over here for next year and have all new strawberries grow. But for now, in this bed, I planted spinach. I did plant spinach in another place, which again got destroyed. So I replanted spinach in here and it's all coming up. Borage in the back again for the pollinators. This bed here is doing excellent. This whole border here is calendula flowers, which are good for the pollinators. That's a marigold right there on the end. And then I have my lemon boy tomatoes and I have some grape tomatoes in the back, the atomic, Brad's atomic grape tomatoes in this bed. And this bed here, we're starting, this was another bed that has bad soil in it, but we planted butternut squash in this bed, so they are starting to come up, so it looks like they're going to do okay in this bed. Over here, look at how beautiful our Brussels sprouts are doing. We have quite a bit of Brussels sprouts growing, so we're super excited. We have failed at Brussels sprouts in the past, so we're excited that they're doing so well. But again, that's a brassica that we're very nervous that the bugs are going to get to, but we don't have any more netting like down at those beds, so we got to keep a close eye on that. This bed right here, I have snow peas growing up tomato cages, and I have different rainbow colored beets growing around the snow peas. And then over here is my hot pepper bed. I don't know if you can see it on film or not, but I started a lot of hot peppers from seed and they are now in the ground. We just planted them out here because we have had the craziest strange weather with it being cool and cold, and then it went extremely hot. And today we got rain for the first time, and I couldn't even tell you how long. We have not had rain and it's been awful. We've been watering like once or twice a day. So this bed right here is my dragon tongue beans. They're doing well. And then we had some random sunflowers show up. So I'm going to leave them for now, but if they do start to shade out my beans and they need to be pulled, we'll pull them out. In the back, I have a beautiful onion bed. The onions are doing excellent back there. And in this bed here, again, some random sunflowers that decided to grow. And then also, for the first time, I am growing cherry, I'm sorry, what the heck are they called? Ground cherries. The three in the middle plants are ground cherries. So we're super excited over them. We've never grown them before. And then on the outside are jalapenos. So we're curious to see how they turn out. It looks like something might have been digging in there. That's a little concerning. This here, if anybody remembers, last year we had giant mammoth sunflowers grow in here, and it was just absolutely stunning. So I planted them again. They're coming up, and in the center I had an extra ground cherry, so I threw that in there. Over here, if you all remember, I grew Chinese noodle beans all along this trellis, and they climb this whole trellis, and they look like snakes hanging down. They're really long beans, which is really cool. Let me see, where should I take you next? How about back here? Our potatoes are starting to come up. And this is our potato bed back here. And we had some potatoes come up from last year that I guess we must have missed. So we left them in there, but we are going to grow some sweet potatoes also. They haven't been planted yet, but we got to get on that. They got to get planted soon, but this is going to be our sweet potato bed. Now, this panel here, if you remember or you follow along, this was all our tomatoes. This was the end of our garden. I will show you the whole new part of the garden. But what we did was we are growing peas all along this bed here. Again, there's some random sunflowers that are popping up. But I also we have some parsley in here. Let me show you. Like that is parsley there. I have parsley in different spots, and I also have all of my carrots growing. Like these are all carrots here. Once they get a little bit bigger, I'll have to thin them out. But this is carrots on this side and parsley. And then on the other side is our peas. Now I discovered yesterday that something is chewing some of my peas. Down to the ground they are. So I did sprinkle some stuff in here because I'm assuming it's either rabbits or mice or something. So I did sprinkle some stuff, but we just had rain, so I have to read and see if I'm gonna have to sprinkle some more, because I was really excited about growing peas all along this trellis here, not only for us to be able to can, but my ducks absolutely love peas, so I wanted to grow extra for them also. Our blueberry bushes, they got the freeze. They already had some blooms on them, so we lost that. Mr. Jack and I, well, there's bird netting over it, just in case you're wondering, because the birds will eat the blueberries. So we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know whether this is going to come back and give us fruit this year, or whether we're going to have to wait till next year. But Mr. Jack and I have decided. We tried one time growing blueberry in the ground. It didn't work. But we're going to take these 3 boxes out in the fall, and we are going to attempt to put them in the ground over here and see, now that we have a little bit better soil, if they will grow in the ground for us so that they can get bigger, because they haven't been getting very big. This is a new part of the garden now. We have a trellis right here going into the new part, and we are growing cantaloupe on this trellis, and it is just starting to come up. Popped some seeds in the ground, and they are coming up, so we're super excited about that. This bed right here is another thing that we've been unsuccessful with. I planted eggplant, just 2 plants. Mr. Jack's not a fan, but I do like eggplant. So I planted 2 eggplants in here that I grew from seed. In the back corner, again, is some jalapenos that I had extra that I threw in there. And I also threw some snow pea seeds in the back that have not come up yet. Now, we have amaranth. I don't know if you can see. Zoom in. These red flowers here that will come up. They are supposed to be beautiful flowers, but I put them here because they're supposed to attract the aphids that usually will go after your eggplant or your tomatoes. So I would sacrifice these flowers just so that they will stay away from my tomatoes. So we'll see how that works. But all along here is my cherry tomatoes. Last year I did not grow any cherry tomatoes, so this year I decided to. And now, all along this trellis here is tomatoes, onions, and basil. When we got the freeze, I lost a lot of tomatoes, and it was really depressing. I had just stuck them in the ground the week before, and I grew them all from seed, and they were looking beautiful, but the freeze got them. So I had to go out, and I did have to buy some store-bought tomato starts. But some of them did survive. Some of my tomatoes did survive. Not all of them died, but a good portion did. So I did have to go out and buy some starts. But the onions are looking beautiful in here. The basil, I didn't finish planting all the basil, but like there's a little basil there, there's basil there. I have basil in between the tomato plants, and we have the onions in between the tomato plants. Let me go in the back here to show you something else new we're growing. We're growing a Malabar spinach. It's not looking so good because, again, the freeze did get it, but I threw some more seeds in the ground, so we'll see. But there's one. I'm trying to find it. There's one. There's one there. Now, some of them don't look so good, some do. So I did plant some seeds this morning of the Malabar spinach to see if maybe they'll come up. So we'll see what happens, but this is all Malabar spinach in here. And then this is the gate to get into the new part. I have some cucamelons growing. What was upsetting was they looked beautiful. I had 4 plants that I had started from seed, 2 on this side and 2 on the other side, and the freeze got them also. So I did replant. So far I'm just seeing one that is coming up, so I have my fingers crossed. Hopefully they'll come up because we've never grown that either, so that's exciting. Okay, over here I had nasturtiums which died, but one came back. It's growing. I'm growing okra that I just put seeds in the ground for. Along this trellis here, I do have some navy beans that I'm growing. The freeze got some of them, so I did just put some new beans in there. So hopefully they'll come up. Along this trellis here, we have some cucumbers growing along this trellis. Let me see what the name is. They are tender green, burpless cucumbers on this trellis. And then all along here, we have our watermelon that we just planted seeds. And then make our way down. Okay, this is my sweet pepper bed. First, let me show you my chocolate mint. This also had gotten damaged, but I kind of think it was shock what happened to that, but it is coming back, so I'm gonna leave it in there. But that's a chocolate mint. It smells so good. So there are sweet peppers in here. Some survived, some did not, but I have plenty that I can replace the peppers with, so I'm not too concerned. Again, I have cucumbers along this trellis. It's a different variety. I believe they're called pickle bush. And then all in this mulch here, you will see I have sweet peppers. Some of them did not make it again, but I do have more that I can replace them with. Along this trellis here, I have tomatillos. They're looking good. In the back here, more sweet peppers. Some made it and some did not, but I have some to replace it. Now over here, I have sunflowers planted on the end, and then I have my different squash. So in the back here, this mound here and this mound right here, which there's one in each mound that has germinated, they are patty pan. So I'm hoping that more will germinate in these two mounds of patty pan. Last year we only had like 1 or 2 that germinated because they got hit with the squash beetles. So keeping an eye on them. Along this trellis here, I had 2 Kokuzi squashes. They are basically being grown for the pigs to eat. They're super long squash, and only one survives, but I did throw some seed in the ground, so hopefully they will come back. Now the next 2 mounds, this one which doesn't have anything, and then this one that has 2, are my acorn squash. So I did plant some more seeds. Hopefully they will come up. Oh, and I forgot, in between all of these squash mounds we have onions also. And then this one here, which is doing phenomenal, and this one here, they are yellow squash. They're doing very well. And then the last 2 on the end here are our zucchini, and I only have 1 that germinated, so I threw some more zucchini seeds in here too. These over here are beautiful. They are loofah gourds, and they are doing excellent. I have 2 on that side and 2 on this side, and they seem to be doing phenomenal. On the end of this bed, I also have nasturtiums that are coming up. And I forgot to show you over here in my sweet pepper bed, in between where you see just dirt, I planted all dill seed. So that'll come up. Actually, I can see it coming up already. I don't want to step in here, but it's teeny tiny. That's going to be all dill in between that trellis right there. Now, our last bed down here is our corn bed. So we planted our corn. I gotta watch where I'm stepping, but like, let's see if you can see them, but I have, there's some corn popping up through the straw, but this is going to be all corn in here. I also have 3 different types of pumpkin growing in here. I have a Cinderella orange, which is like a flat pumpkin, and then I have a white flat pumpkin, and then a blue pumpkin. And these are basically for our decorating pumpkins that are in this bed here. Down at the very end of the corn and pumpkin patch, along this trellis, I did have navy beans, and the freeze got them. Only I think 2 are left. But all in here, where you see dirt, that is garbanzo beans. They are like bush beans. So that's all planted in here. I'll take you over to show you our raspberry patch that we have in here. Now, this is new, our raspberries. I bought 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bare root raspberries. 3 out of the 5 are growing. Two of them we haven't seen anything yet, so I don't know if they're going to make it, but there's one that's doing well. This, we believe rabbits came in and ate all the leaves off of it, but they grew back. This is a different type of raspberry. I bought two different types. One that is a summer bearing, and then one that is a fall bearing, so that we will have continuous raspberries in the future. But this is one. Now this is the biggest one that we have. That looks beautiful. And then we have two more down here. Mr. Jack and I are not going to pull them out. There's nothing really to show but just the stick coming up out of the ground. We're going to leave them, see what happens. If they do not come up, then we will have to replace them. And that's kind of sad because we're really looking forward to this whole bed being filled with raspberries. We love raspberries. So that, it's a work in progress. We still have quite a bit to do. I have a lot of stuff I still have to plant. These pots at each end, I have flowers that I need to put in there. I haven't really planted too many flowers in this bed, or in the garden, so I do have to add some beauty in my garden. So you'll see as the tours continue how things progress, and we have more mulch. We're working on the mulch over there. Don't mind our rototiller. I think we're pretty much done with the rototiller. I'll have to get Mr. Jack to put that back for me in the garage. But, well, that's our garden. That is the tour for 2023, June 9th, I believe. And I will try to update you as I think that, you know, you need to be updated. We did, Mr. Jack and I, strung lights all throughout the garden. We have many trellises this year that we didn't have last year. If anybody's new, the reason why we have flags all the way around our garden is to keep the chickens out. They all stay out except for two, so we did have to clip their wings so that they will stay out of the garden and stop digging things up. We do have some drip irrigation this year that we did not have before, but we have a pressure issue, so we're working on the drip irrigation. But as you can see, like if you look in here at this squash bed in the center, you see that's our drip irrigation. It works, it just doesn't have the greatest pressure. So Mr. Jack and I had to figure out what we're going to do regarding the pressure. But yes, that's our 2023 beginning of June. Oh, there's a robin over at my peas. Hopefully he's not the one eating the peas. He flew away. So stay tuned and we'll keep you updated on as the garden progresses.